in my underwear. This week on Always On, I unbox a car. The iPhone 5 enters the torture chamber, and I set sail on Team Korea's America's Cup catamaran. Always On is on. Hey everyone, I'm Molly Wood. Welcome to Always On, the show where we take a look at the tech that's part of your life and your future. Last week on the show, we unboxed my new iPhone 5. This week on the show, we're going to torture test a different iPhone 5. Let's find out if it's tougher than the iPhone 4S or if it can stand up to the Samsung Galaxy S3. We have had the iPhone 5 in the house for less than 2 hours, and over the objections of many in this building, we're starting our torture test. It's going in the freezer for 2 hours. Alrighty, good luck. Bye, little buddy. This feels even more wrong than usual. There have been several CNET rescue attempts, but we managed to keep the iPhone 5 in here for the full 2 hours. Let's see how it's doing. All right. The bigger screen shows that, oh, look how pretty the crystal pattern is. This is my favorite part. All right, let's see. It's nice and iced over. Oh, screen comes on no problem. Ugh. Perfectly responsive. Look at that. Little A6 processor, not phased at all by the cold. And look, actually, unlike the iPhone 4S, the cold did not drain the battery at all. It went in almost full, and it's still almost full. Our iPhone 5 came through the cold test with no problem. Let's see how it handles the heat test. A little change in the heat test. We've decided, in the interest of all of that plastic very close to heat sources, we're going to try wrapping these in a towel so that we get a lot of heat, but maybe not so much melting. All right, so we'll wrap it up. You may remember we did this with our iPad back in season 1. Okay, let's put our little, look, it looks like kind of like bread dough. 200 degrees, 1 hour. Sounds like our iPhone is cooked. Let's make that stop. Okay, all right, and see how it's doing. Okay, extremely hot to the touch. Might as well try to turn it on. Oh, yep. We have our temperature warning. iPhone needs to cool down before you can use it. So that's such good feedback. So we will indeed let it cool down, and then we'll try to use it. We let our iPhone 5 cool for about 15 minutes. It's a little warm to the touch, but otherwise seems fine. Let's see if our temperature warning is gone. Oh yeah, performance seems unaffected. Still is crazy fast. All right, everything seems to be working just fine. Heat test, not a problem. Let's see what happens if, say, we're sitting outside and we accidentally shuffle puck it across the concrete. It happens. Now let's see how bad it got. Wow. I think even some of the glass is chipped, right? Oh, yeah. Ooh, I could actually get a little cut right here. You're gonna need a case. Now, I'm assuming that torture test was exciting and dramatic because we're filming this part before the actual testing. I can't wait to see what happens, or happened, or whatever. Okay, This week in San Francisco, America's Cup trials are on. It's all part of a year-long celebration of America's Cup racing, and it all culminates with the big Cup race next summer. I got a first-hand look at what makes these boats the most awesome tech on the water and on TV. This is not your grandfather's America's Cup. Everything about this venerable boat competition has changed, from the all-new boat designs to the high-tech tracking and broadcasting. Plus, I got the ride of my lifetime on one of those catamarans. I spent the day with the crew of Team Korea. Because it sounds like I'm not going for a pleasure cruise. Like, this is a full-on little mini training run here. Don't tell anybody, but I took a little drama. I mean, did you see that boat? Did you see that? Korea's White Tiger Challenger is one of 10 teams descending upon San Francisco right now, hoping to battle tech titan and reigning champion Oracle for the 2013 America's Cup. Okay.
Basically, stay on the high side and keep one hand or two hands on that red handle.
Okay. I feel awesome. This is the best day ever.
We are on our way out to the America's Cup catamaran of Team Korea. I know there's a lot of tech on this boat, but for the next couple hours, I'm just going to think about holding on.
Thank you.
Perch on the back there.
This is where I sit, just right here. I just sit right here. See you on the other side.
While training, we hooked up with Italy's Luna Rossa Piranha and challenged them to a match race.
Just doing a little racing. They said they didn't break her today.
For all the excitement, speed, and drama of racing these boats, this year the technology is actually unbelievably advanced. I caught up with Team Korea's former skipper, Olympic gold medalist Nathan Outeridge, to talk about the tech.
Normally for racing, for sailing, like it's just a human eye looking at it and, you know, making a judgment, whereas we've got all the computers on the boat. They have boundaries for the course, so when you're sailing you have a little computer screen next to where I'm sitting. It tells you distance to the next boundary. It tells you, what the course is going to be. So the communication is just so much better than what you would have for any other event.
The tech is tied to a TV broadcasting system called Liveline.
They've got to make sure they get across in front of New Zealand here, otherwise
which was developed by Stan Honey, America's Cup's Director of Technology.
We take stuff that's important to the sport, like the ley lines, the mark locations, the limits to the course, the advantage lines, and then we make it visible on the TV screen by rendering those lines on the water. The camera's on a helicopter, so we have to measure the helicopter's position to a couple of centimeters and its orientation to 1/100 of a degree, and that's the part that's really hard.
And then the helicopter is communicating with GPS systems on the boat?
The helicopters, the mark boats, and the race boats all measure their position very accurately, and they all communicate to shore. And then at shore in the TV compound, we take the video from the helicopter and then we superimpose the graphics on top using all of those measurements.
Those augmented reality graphics show things like the start and finish line and the position of the racers, which as a result makes it a lot easier to follow on television. They've also integrated Liveline into a mobile app that lets you watch and listen to a 3D live animated view of the races. Still, nothing compares to watching these boats race live in the water.
They're a very powerful boat and they're very light. They're probably only about 1.2 tonne, so they're pretty light. And the amount of power you can get from that wing is massive. Normally a boat will have like a carbon fibre mast and then they'll have a soft sail. And they've gone for like a wing design here, so it's basically a two-piece wing that hinges in the middle, and we can control the power from that a lot more efficiently than most boats.
And it seems very similar to an airplane wing design, like you guys are like half pilot, half sailors out here.
It's very much like an airplane wing. You can change the camber to get more power, and then when it gets really windy like today, you decrease the camber in it, and you can also adjust how much twist is in it. So if you let the twist in the top of the wing hang out, you can also decrease the amount of power and improve your speed through the water.
Today, they're racing the 45-footers. Next year at the Cup, the teams will move to 72-foot catamarans.
Well, as you can see, that's a 45, so it's just a baby boat compared to what the Cup's going to be in. And
it's just a baby boat.
It's just a baby boat. They're pretty quick, but you know, we do 30 knots in these things, and the 72s are probably going to do around 40 knots.
So they'll be cruising along at 40 knots, basically out of the water, just like kind of skiing?
That's the plan. That's the way the design's been going, and the rules are allowing people to design it that way. So what we had today was one hull flying. You know, in the Cup, I'll expect to see 2 hulls out of the water. Most of the events we've been to have been very light winds, and we've been here in San Francisco and it's known to be windy, and we were out there pushing it doing 30 knots and we had a little capsize, and when you capsize you destroy a lot of the boat, so I expect that's going to happen a lot this week.
I'm pretty glad, just for the record, that didn't happen today.
No, we said we'd look after you, and you know, we did our job.
I appreciate that. I just thought when they said they'd look after her, they meant the boat. A little America's Cup gossip for you. Since we shot that piece, Outeridge is out as Team Korea skipper, and they've brought in Peter Burling, who also happens to be an Olympic silver medalist. We'll see if he can give them a first place finish this week. iPhone 5 is already a little dinged up, but it is time for the drop test. Again, so light, so easy to just sort of lose track of while I'm at the playground. Oh no, a bee! Onto the concrete. We have some chipping on the front. We've actually cracked the glass on the back. It could have been already in a weakened condition, but that was only one drop. But I think we need to keep dropping it. How about shoulder height? Okay, looks like no more problems. One more, ear height. If you only looked at it from the front, you would say this phone is amazing. It's this view that's the problem. Now let's see if the actual phone is still functional. Comes on. Looks like we don't have any screen damage like we did with the 4S. So the phone is still functional, but I think with a cracked back, we're gonna have to call this one a fail. Still functional after the drop, despite the cracks. Let's see how the iPhone 5 handles water. Oh no, I dropped it in the toilet. Ah, this is the part where I overcome my fear of germs. The screen's still on, by the way. Very similar to our iPhone 4S. Bubbling. Probably get it out a little faster than that if you really dropped yours in the toilet, but This is one thing that's pretty amazing about the iPhone actually. Both the 4S and the 5 now, really not very affected by water. The screen stays on, there's no evidence of immediate shorting, and that's with some pretty severe damage on the back that could let some water in. Just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna power it all the way down, put it in our rice bag, all the way off. Of course, I cannot take the back off or the battery out to make sure we really get drying on the insides, but it's not really acting like it has water on the inside. Check on you later. Let's see how our iPhone 5 did with the water test. We've had it in a bag of rice for about 36 hours, just to be safe. Now you remember it was on when it came out of the fish tank, but sometimes the water sinks in a little later. We did a little charging, but I don't know how it's doing. Oh, it's on. Screen seems perfectly responsive. It's doing its thing. That is pretty impressive. Just like the iPhone 4S, this one has no problem with a short dip in a pool, which is good news for a lot of you. Now, I do also want to revisit the drop test. At the end, when I was a little bit shocked by all the damage that we had caused by dropping this phone, I declared it a failure. But on second thought, I think I have to take that back. I mean, it's totally functional. If you put a case on the back, you'd still be perfectly happy to have it. So, on second thought, it's a pass. Overall, I'd say the iPhone 5 is very tough, but also not that tough. Compared to the Samsung Galaxy S3, which went through all the same tests, this obviously came out pretty damaged, and our S3 had no scratches at all. That said, any phone that can take a dunk and still come out working fine is one that you're gonna feel confident with. I would just say, get yourself a case. If you don't want to get a case, this might not be the phone for you. And I do want to issue a little bit of a warning because this is my personal phone, which I've now had for 5 days. And the front glass is covered in scratches just from carrying it in my purse. If you are the kind of person who really prefers to have a phone without a case, I recommend thinking twice about iPhone 5. Although I am going to take this one back to the store and see what they say. Now I know you're all wondering what we're gonna do with that iPhone 5 once we're finished torturing it, and don't worry, it'll end up in the giveaway bucket in whatever condition that it's in. This week though, we're giving away the MacBook Air that we tortured back in season 1. You know, the one that fell off the roof of my car? It still works, you just have to have it plugged in, but I think that's gonna be valuable to somebody. So head on over to cnet.com/alwayson for details on how you can win it. It's time for us to take a quick break. When we come back, as promised, the Samsung Galaxy S3 does a full cycle in the washing machine, and I get my speed on in a pretty awesome electric car. We have a bonus torture test for you today. There were complaints that I went a little easy on the Galaxy S3 compared to the iPhone, which had to go through the washer. So as promised, the S3 is now getting the same treatment in the washing machine. In goes the phone. In goes our little detergent pod. And I'm gonna wash it on cold. Away we go. It's so dramatic to watch it go around. Oh, like it just got an email. I can't believe it's still on the Wi-Fi. That's awesome. I'm right here. Our wash cycle is done. Let's rescue our Galaxy S3 and I'm assuming dry it out for a while. Actually, our biggest challenge is going to be finding it. Where are you? Hello? Just going to put some things in the dryer until it comes out. Don't look at my underwear. It's not in here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Here is our... Oh! Oh my goodness. The notification light is still going. Look at that. You see that? I think maybe this phone is still on. If it's still on, let's turn the screen on. Let's see if that'll work. Okay, that's weird. So the screen doesn't come on, but that is one really tough LED right there. So I do have my bag of rice at the ready, and I am going to take this guy apart. I'm going to remove the back cover and the battery. You can see there is plenty of water inside there, no surprise. So I'm going to dry these individual parts off. Put my battery in here. Dry out the inside of the phone here, because you never know. With the iPhone, you know, there's no way to open it up and really dry out all those components, but the Samsung has been incredibly tough up to this point. So let's give it a fighting chance and see if it comes out clean. So here is the Samsung Galaxy S3 that went through the washer, and I'm not even bothering with the bag of rice because check it out. It's totally fine. We dried it out for 24 hours, took it out to see if it was all right, and it came on like no problem. This thing is amazing. I've been using it for a couple weeks and I think I'm gonna keep it. All right, now it is time for a very special and slightly unusual unboxing. I'm out in the field today for a very special unboxing, the Tesla Model S. Oh yeah. And this is my key. Look, it's a little baby Tesla. Dear God, really? All right, enough tempting Johnny Law. Let's get to the specs. The Tesla Model S is an all-electric car built to compete head-on with gas-powered vehicles. Design-wise, it's gorgeous. Talk about a head-turner. I saw people taking pictures of me while I was driving it down the freeway in Silicon Valley. Because there's no engine under the hood, there's extra storage up front, which Tesla employees jokingly call the frunk. There's a regular trunk too, and there's also an option for an all-glass panoramic roof. The entire thing is made of lightweight heat and UV blocking glass. I drove the signature performance model in this gorgeous red with black interior. Unfortunately, this model is sold out and you can't get this paint color anymore. If you want a Tesla Model S in another color, they start at $49,000, $15,000 more than the all-electric Nissan Leaf. There are 3 battery options. The largest is 85 kilowatt hours, which will supposedly get up to 300 miles on a single charge, driving at 55 miles per hour, which no one does. The base model still goes twice as far as the Leaf, 140 miles per charge. Charging is simple. Just find an outlet. There are adapters for 110 volt or 240 volt outlets, and you can get a high-powered wall charger to top off the car faster. To help reduce your range anxiety even more, Tesla Motors founder Elon Musk just announced these new behemoth superchargers that charge super fast. There are 6 in California now, with many more coming. You'll be able to pull over at one on a long road trip and charge up for free. Now what you're here for, the tech on the inside. Check out this 17-inch multi-touch display in the dash, which controls most of the car's functions. Ted Marandino of Tesla Motors gave me a walkthrough.
The touchscreen is sort of segmented into a few segments. We have a status bar along the top, which tells us temperature, battery.
So this battery indicator here is the actual battery indicator. That's the range.
That is going to give you a shortcut to look at charging. So if you tap it, it'll bring open a image of the car. It's color-coded to your car. It also has the wheels and the roof that's on this car.
Nice.
In fact, even if you turn on your turn indicator, it'll turn the turn indicator on. You'll see that the turn indicators go on. And the same thing if you flash the headlights, just kind of fun things like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's super geeky. I love it.
The status bar and the app are static. They're always there, as is this sort of vehicle controls bar down here, which has our climate control and some of the controls for the car. Okay. These 2 pieces are we can move and play around with. We can swap them from top to bottom that way. We can maximize whatever's on top to take up the whole screen.
This is Google Maps?
Yeah, so this car uses Google Maps. So if you have our connectivity package, meaning if you have the native internet in the car, you'll get Google Maps. And this isn't our navigation per se, but it does give you a view of the car, our location, and a lot of the features that kind of go along with Google Maps. And we can maximize this to take advantage of all this beautiful screen real estate. We have multi-touch on the screen, so you can squeeze or pinch. We can also switch to satellite view, have a really nice, beautiful view of the terrain, and you can zoom in and out, all the things you're used to doing on Google Maps.
The company is still working out details, but there will be some kind of option for a 3G data connection from Tesla. Personally, I'm surprised there aren't more details about a data plan yet, and I'm a bit disappointed that a car shipping in 2013 won't have 4G. When it comes to performance, I am not disappointed. The base Model S has 362 horsepower and 325 foot-pounds of torque. The Performance Edition bumps that up to 416 horsepower and 443 pounds of torque. That'll do 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds. The Model S is a pleasure to drive. Tesla says it's meant to compete with the BMW 5 Series and the Audi A6. I can definitely see it in that company, although I find the German cars a little bit more responsive, and the BMWs still do have better road feel. There are a few oddities, like the steering column borrowed from Mercedes, which puts the cruise control lever annoyingly above the turn signal lever. Also, the side pillars are huge. Visibility is not good in this car, but luckily you can put your rear and side views in the 17-inch display while you're driving, then you can see anything you want. And no other luxury sedan will give you the Tesla Model S's most outstanding feature, complete silence. If you want one of your own, be prepared to put down $5,000 now and wait about a year or more for yours to arrive. But that should give you plenty of time to get over the car you already have. Tesla is also working on a small SUV that will compete with the BMW X3 and cars of that size. That's not due out until 2016. And if 50 grand sounds a little high for you, they're working on a sedan that they just announced coming out in 2015, should be more around 30 grand. That sounds better. All right, now it's time to answer some of your mail. In honor of our iPhone 5 torture test today, let's feature some of your torture test suggestions and feedback. Starting off with Kay Den, who says, love your show. Just have one question for now. How cold is the freezer when you do the freeze tests? You mentioned how hot you test them. I can imagine leaving a device in your car when it could get down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 255 degrees Kelvin or below. Keep the awesome episodes coming, Kay Den. Thanks for the specificity there, buddy. I'm surprised you didn't go Celsius also. You know, a freezer is right around 32 or so. Maybe we'll have to do some snow tests now that winter is coming. Thinking we could get a little après-ski thing going on. Yeah, it's a plan. Moving on, Walter says, power on. Do we have anti-surge protection, smartphone or tables or Ultrabooks or Sleekbook? Take a test shock any device like tablet or smartphone, Ultrabook, MacBook. Just charge smartphone or tablet and laptops. Leave power on device, then turn off fuse in the house. Let's see, do you think we need surge protection with this devices? Love to see that test. I get what you're getting at. And actually, that is a pretty good idea, the surge protector test, because I have often wondered if phones and tablets need that. So we'll look into that, although I'm sure by next week we'll have several emails letting us know, what the technical details of that are. Moving on, an email. First, love the show. Just saw your last episode where the young fella wants you to torture test TVs. Excellent idea. As you are from Montana, I am from Edmonton, Canada, and you know how winters get snap-ass cold. That one's new to me. A few years ago, my thermostat went on the fritz while I was away for Xmas holidays. Came back and the entire inside of the house was at negative 40. All the pipes had burst and the water in the toilets were frozen like an ice rink for gnomes. It took us a good 24 hours to slowly increase the inside temp of the house, all the while listening to pipes explode. That being said, the tech made it through alive. Toshiba TV. So take those bad boy tech TVs and other larger items, find yourself an industrial grade freezer, like in a military mess hall or ice cream plant, and have at it. Keep up the great work. Rob from Edmonton North. Man, you Northerners are crazy. Although, a blast chiller at a military mess hall, that sounds awesome. Ooh, maybe I could get one of those big, crazy anoraks with the furry hood and go in there with it. I'm liking this. Moving on, Michael has a response to Sharon's macro lens how-to. He says, Sharon, an even easier solution is to download Maglite Plus. The app magnifies up to 10x and can add the LED light. Not a true macro, but you don't have to worry about carrying around any other hardware either. Also comes in handy for reading 6-point type in dark restaurants. I mean, okay, but like, where's the fun in that? DIY, man. All right, keep the awesome feedback coming. God, I love this part of the show. alwayson@cnet.com is our email address. You can also leave us notes at Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. And please send us video mail. We love it. Keep it coming. That is it for this week's show, everyone. Coming up next week, we're going to torture test the Kindle Fire HD 7-inch. Sharon will be back with an all-new how-to. And we road test the funky little Lytro camera. That's all coming up next week. See you then. I'm putting on my somewhat pathetic seeming rain gear now because I didn't bring my own wetsuit, but I'll try to stay as dry as I can. Okay. I pretty much busted out all my wet weather camping gear.
Don't pee. Don't pee. That's like my goal for all these adventures. Don't pee.